The Jade Giant is in a bad way, and it'll be up to his friends at Shadow Base whether or not he makes it. All this and more on the pages of Immortal Hulk issue number 36. Let's hop on in together and find out what happened, shall we? Alrighty then, so picking up from where the last issue left off, the Hulk had gone nuclear and killed a small group of people who were celebrating him building a habitat for humanity. In fact, the only reason people like Jacqueline McGee didn't totally end up getting glassed by the explosion was because Rick Jones stepped on in and shielded the crowd. Of course, what Jacqueline and the others don't know is that Rick not only isn't Rick right now, he probably hasn't been Rick for a long time. The leader has been using his body like some gross flesh puppet, and he was actually the one that pushed the Hulk to explode. What follows is a genuinely sad, genuinely gut-wrenching little exchange wherein the Hulk decries the fact that once again he's managed to ruin everything. He was a beloved celebrity for a whole 10 minutes. People actually liked him, actually wanted to be his friend, which is saying something for the very childlike big guy persona who only ever seems to want to be loved but only ever seems to be able to break everything around him. Aw man, this is some real genuine ugly cry territory right here, I tell ya. Oh, but the worst, believe it or not, is still very much yet to come. The Doctor back at Shadow Base tries to teleport the Hulk back, but there's too much gamma radiation in the air right now, so that's impossible. And Plan B isn't exactly much better either. Basically, that involves Gamma Flight, the group of superpowered individuals put together for the sole purpose of stopping the Hulk, basically are forced to do their job now. They don't know this whole thing is a setup, and because of that, they begin to start beating the Hulk back into the Earth in hopes of protecting everyone else around them, even though the Hulk is only letting them do it because he's crying his eyes out right now. In fact, it gets so sad and so pathetic, Jacqueline McGee even steps in to stop the agents of Gamma Flight. Remember, her whole reason for following around the Hulk in the first place is that he killed her dad. And now here she is actively defending the Hulk from his attackers. And it turns out Jacqueline warming up to the Hulk is a two-way streak too. When Gamma Flight gets a little too handsy with her, the big guy ends up freaking out and doing some real damage to Gamma Flight. Absorbing Man gets his whole frickin' arm torn off, and considering that he was already draining strength from the Hulk, that probably took an insane amount of power to pull off. Oh, but the hits just keep on coming as it seems that the leader's plan is unfurling better than he ever could have thought. Titania rushes into the fight to avenge her husband, only to get smacked down even harder. And once his beloved wife Titania gets hurt, Absorbing Man actually pushes himself in a way he never has before. Crusher Creel forces himself to have a smart idea, which basically boils down to, hey, I'm the Absorbing Man, I can turn my body into whatever I want. That means I could probably turn myself into Gamma by copying the radiation in the air right now. And in doing so, the Absorbing Man actually becomes a creature that looks very familiar to the one below all that we've been seeing in Hell all throughout this series. Now once Doc Samson back at Shadow Base catches wind of all of this, he knows he better act quick lest this situation blow up even more than it's already blown up. He has a plan though, hidden on a flash drive. A plan that we also discover just so happens to involve the Walking Ghost, aka that mad scientist villain that the Hulk fought all the way back in issue 2 of this series. Shadow Base had been keeping him in a tube in hopes of healing and or depowering him. It's also around here when Doc Samson starts snooping around, the Walking Ghost wakes up. In fact, maybe he's been up this whole time.
Surprise, motherfucker!
And so that was Immortal Hulk issue number 36, and I must take my hat off to Al Ewing that even when he does a more action-centric issue, that still doesn't mean we don't get a lot of really cool characterization, especially for Jacqueline, who I think turns a major corner in her character this issue. Another thing I don't talk about near as much in these Immortal Hulk stories is that every single issue is also accompanied by a famous quote that relates to the overall story itself. Usually they're all from different literary sources, but here, this time, for the first 2 issues of this arc, they're all quotes taken from the famous biblical story of Job. For those who are not up on their Sunday school, Job was a story about a guy who was wealthy and happy and had a great family and was always giving praise to God. That is, of course, until one day God decided to ruin him, basically just to prove a point to Satan. And yet, despite all the horrors that were delivered upon him and his family, Job continued to praise God. Now again, depending on where you fall on this story theologically, It's either a story about a man who stayed true to his principles even amidst horrifying odds, or it's a story about just how truly messed up God can be in the Bible. It's also the story from where the famous phrase, "the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away," comes from. And basically what I think Al Ewing is doing here in this story is making the Hulk into Job. He was a celebrity, people loved him, he was doing good for once, and now the leader has taken all of it away. The question is though, will the Hulk stay true to his brand new ideas of trying to make the world a better place by smashing the old broken systems, or will he simply fall back into bad smashy behavior? I can't say for certain, but we're gonna have to keep reading to find out. Overall though, I would give this one a very positive 8.5 out of 10. Immortal Hulk continues to just be great.
Hey there everyone, Cape Joel again, and I want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you see, be sure to like, subscribe, comment. It really helps drive engagement and helps me out too. Also, if you are a patron, which you can become for as little as $1 a month, you will get exclusive content that no one else can ever see, and you'll get to see the Comic Multiverse podcast before anyone else too. You can check out all this and more down in the description. And until next time everyone, this has been Cape Joel, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers.